So beyond Google Scholar, what are your other options for finding research articles? And there are several, and Google Scholar and these other databases will all, in many cases, have some of the same information shared through them. But you might not get burdened with as many conference proceedings or technical reports if you use some of these other options. So I'm going to click on PubMed. So you can Google search PubMed. PubMed is the name for the National Library of Medicine's kind of search engine, and it actually looks at 30 million citations that are in Medline, life science journals, and online books. The bar for what PubMed allows into their kind of database is a lot higher than Google Scholar. So you would be able to search, whatever you are interested in, and certain things that may be more ecological or environmental in nature without a human component are in some cases not in here. Some things that do relate to human health and the environment may show up. So I just typed in enter, and then you can get these. If the article was made available for free, they've got the free article designation. Many articles that were produced by the United States government or tax dollars, not just in the United States, but maybe even other countries, may require things be publicly available. So again, if you remember right, the National Library of Medicine offers kind of their own kind of e-reader tool where articles are not necessarily using the journal format, but the manuscript has been made in a way that it may look like an actual journal article, and you can still get the same information. So that's just helpful to know. One other place you could potentially search would be EKU libraries, or any library, depending on where you're watching this. Many of the research university libraries have subscriptions that may even go further than EKU's. And where EKU has a lot of research interest, the library tries to make sure that the search engines align with the needs in those respective departments. If you were to click on research guides or databases, you'll get more information. So I'm going to click on databases, and when I click on databases, I can click on all subjects and go down to environmental health science. And I could probably also, I don't know if there's community health is on here or not, but Karen Gilbert's got an MPH actually from EKU, as well as other credentials related to library science. But she's organized this list. She's also somebody that's available to you if you need help finding information. Beyond reaching out to me, you may also reach out to Karen Gilbert. She will help you with doing your search if you need some support. She recommends using Medline via EbscoHost as one of the best bets. There's also access to Academic Search Ultimate, Agricole. These are all different databases that are out there that you can try. We're going to click on Medline EbscoHost, and if you are at EKU, it should know that you're logged in. And there are ways to log into the EKU library. You can click on like My Account, I think, and there's ways of logging in to the EKU library. So I'm already kind of logged in. It knows I'm here. So back to the EbscoHost. So you could actually enter in your information. I'm going to type in cyanobacteria and liver toxicity, search, and cyanobacteria blooms and non-alcoholic liver disease. So you can see this information there. This is a PDF, full text available. So there's a variety of search engines that you have access to. So those are the first ones, PubMed, and then using some of the ones available through EKU libraries. All right, another option could potentially be using ResearchGate, where you may actually search a particular researcher. You may be able to even search terms, and as you search for things, you can see who's doing research on these areas, and you can click on them and read their articles. But this is another way for you to potentially get access to articles in kind of a different way, to where if you find something that may be on your Ebsco search, I'm going to make sure something more current. I don't know what this one is. I'm going to copy it. You could, this might be an older one, I don't know. Have to look at the date in which this was published. It seems to be publication May 2020. And you could take one of these folks and search for them on ResearchGate if you didn't have access to the full version of the article, if you needed it. So if I click on Find Full Text, I may not have access to it. If you can't get access to it, we have the ability to request items through Library Express, and the library will look at that request and be able to put together a request to the other library. There's a small charge that will be incurred to the university, but you pay tuition dollars. So if your requests are reasonable and related to your academics at the university, you'll be able to submit that request, and then within sometimes as early as a few days to as late as a few weeks, you should get a PDF version of the article. Another way, you could potentially search for the researcher and see if they show up. Certain last names are harder. If you know what university they're at, you might be able to find them. There are other authors that are on this list. If you search the author, you might be able to find one of them. Not all the authors are out there. So I periodically get requests that are sent to me where they'll ask for a full version of the article. So ResearchGate is a way that you could, if you can find the author or find the publication, you'd be able to find it. You'd be able to actually contact the author. You may see a preprint on here. You may request a full text, and some of the authors will share it to you peer-to-peer with the understanding that you're not going to post it on the web. Now, why is this an issue on people posting things on the web? A little bit about ResearchGate and its history can be read here. Major publishers file second lawsuit against ResearchGate. A lot of scientists believe that when they publish their peer-reviewed articles, it's theirs. It's their scholarship, it's their work. But when they actually do publish the article, that article no longer belongs to that. The author actually gives up some of the rights to the article to the actual publisher. So that authors are allowed to share peer-to-peer related to work, but just putting them out on the web through ResearchGate in their full version has been deemed to be piracy or illegal. Very much the same way that the company Napster back in the day, where they allowed users to just share music that didn't even belong to them so people could download. Well, that was happening on ResearchGate. Authors were making things publicly available, and then people were collecting them and then sharing them all over the world, and that became a problem. Academia.edu did the same thing. So some of the big publishing houses eventually just said, that's enough. So the American Chemical Society and Elsevier started suing ResearchGate and other entities that were sharing scholarship. And this has been something that's been a bit of a debate. You can research this young lady here if you wish. Some people view her as a Robin Hood. Some people view her as a thief. I'll let you all make your own determination. But she stole 50 million academic papers and put them on the Science Hub. But she's continued to do this several times and to make information freely available to anybody around the world. And there's pros and cons to that. And these journals do have to be able to operate, but at the same time, the price, if you're not at a university, in regards to accessing some of this. In some cases it's not $30, in some cases it's a lot more than that. But needless to say, ResearchGate's still up and running and still operational, and people can contact authors for publications. And in some cases, with some journals, when authors print research or put research out there, in some cases the preprint is allowed to be made available in terms of like what it looks like. So here's one that was published in Environmental Research. You can see the abstract, and then it says here, I put on there, the full text is available, is the preprint version. So you can see what it looked like before it went to the publisher. The actual version in the journal Environmental Research looks a lot nicer than this, but I was allowed to upload the preprint version. So again, it may not look like the actual article as it would appear, and there may be some subtle differences, but needless to say, the knowledge is out there. And in some cases, some journals don't permit that, some journals do. So it's always important to look that over. Alright, so those are your options. There are other ones that are out there, but PubMed, your library using Ebsco, we've already covered Google Scholar, so that's all out there. So I'm going to stop here, and if you have any questions in doing your assignment, please let me know.